There we
Welcome.
go.
It's Ask Us Anything
Live.
time, live on YouTube. I guess people know where they are when they're
They probably
watching us.
do.
Yeah,
I mean, it's when but when somebody comes out for a concert, they're like, "Hello, Detroit," right? I mean, everybody knows they're in Detroit, but you
that's
still
right.
say hello,
Actually, it's kind
right?
of a test to see
Right?
whether we know where we are because
Right.
all the
Exactly.
traveling from town to town.
That we're not
It's
doing
been
this year. Yeah.
insane. You're right that we're not doing it all. Yeah. Okay. So you wrote about digital
Well,
nomad life this today.
oh, yes, I did. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. I did write about digital nomad lifestyle because there are some interesting opportunities out there. There are places willing to pay you to come and be a digital nomad in their city, which, like I saw this thing that Steven wrote about. I sent it to Steven the other day, the Hawaii thing where they might give you free tickets to come and live
Right.
in Hawaii for a while and work there. But then I found there's much better deals. They'll pay like 10 grand to come to Tulsa for a year, or 10 grand to go to like the Shoals in Alabama, which I had never heard of before I found that yesterday. So, yeah, so they give you a bunch of money if, you agree to come and stay and live there for a while. What do you think, Greg? Would you
Right.
go move somewhere new for a year for 10 grand? I mean,
Well, yeah, I would. I think for me that would be like an incentive if I was thinking about it anyway. I wouldn't pick a place just for
based on how
that
much they pay
for
you to,
that
to
that
move
much
there.
probably. Although there was some kind of deal last year with Puerto Rico where they became like a tax haven or something. I can't remember the details, but there was something for, if people would live there year round and move their business there. There was some big incentive, but
Yeah, I remember seeing
um,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
And
that
and
would
you
be
haven't
kind of cool.
relocated yet, so
Not yet.
I guess you're not John.
Well,
Not during COVID, but maybe after, like, if things return to normal, I might consider this for a
yeah.
year.
Well,
Right?
for you guys, it totally makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have any particular ties to where you are.
No.
For us, until COVID,
Right.
my wife had to teach at the university, and so we had to be here physically.
Of course. Yeah.
Right
That makes
now, we
sense.
could be
Yeah.
anywhere. So
Yeah.
that's why that Hawaii deal, you only have to commit to like a month or so, right?
You do. Yeah, it's only 30
Um,
days. Yeah. But
yeah,
but and
tempt you
that's
by
it.
that.
Well, I mean, it kind of seems like a great deal, but on the other hand, you've got a mountain of points. You can fly to Hawaii. You don't have to worry about paying for
Absolutely.
a ticket to Hawaii, right? So, like, I mean, giving you a free ticket to Hawaii is nice. It saves you a few points, but realistically, it doesn't probably make any kind of a dent in the bottom line. That's why these were interesting to me, because I was like, oh well, I mean, $10,000 or 15 in at least one case. I mean, that's a sizable chunk of change. Though the 15, you couldn't be a digital nomad, then you had to get a local job. But
Right,
ten thousand
right.
bucks, that's not
No,
small.
seriously, yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah, Hawaii. I mean, I had the same thought. That's like, well, how big of a deal is it for me to get a free ticket? But there's actually something I find attractive about getting locked into, oh, I have to go work in Hawaii.
Right. When that's not something that sounds exciting, I guess you're jaded, right? I mean,
Right.
that's
Well,
valid.
no, I mean, otherwise, like if we talk about going to Hawaii to work from there, a lot of little things will come up and it'll end up sounding like more of a hassle than it's worth. But we're forced to because we got accepted into the program.
You just have
we'll
to. You
we'll
gotta
figure it
say.
all out. Yeah.
Gotta say, yeah. It's interesting. I think we'll probably see more of this. We saw yesterday too. The Hyatt Regency in Bangkok is now offering a year-long thing where you pay 1 million baht and you become, a millionaire resident of the Hyatt Regency
Right.
Bangkok. So
Right. So that's around like $30,000, I think, if I
yeah,
remember right. And
yeah.
and so 30,000 to live in basically luxury for a whole year. It's not bad at all.
No, I
Comes with
mean,
some special perks like
it sure
gold
does.
vacations at other places and massages and things. So,
Yeah, limo transfers, a health checkup with limo
right,
transfers to the hospital. I mean, there's some, and then a birthday party for yourself and like 20 friends on the rooftop with an open bar. I mean, they did throw in some stuff there. So,
right. And supposedly it counts towards your Hyatt status. So just paying the 30,000 right there, that should qualify you for Globalist. And if you pay with your Hyatt card, that's 4x. So 120,000 points plus your Globalist. What do you get? Like, I forget, 6 or 7, maybe 8. I forget how many points per dollar you get as a globalist. And so you get that as on top. So.
Yeah. I mean, not bad. I mean, certainly, and you get bonus journeys, so you get a double credit, presumably or triple points for that, right? I mean, so there's some potential stacks there if you want to toss it. And I mean, 30 grand sounds like a lot of money, and don't get me wrong, it is. But compared to what a lot of people pay in rent or mortgage or whatever, I mean, that's probably not totally unreasonable. If you're paying for rent in New York or San Francisco or Los Angeles, I mean, it's probably about the same and a lot more luxury. So kind of an interesting thing. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to do it either. I love visiting Bangkok, but I don't know. It seems a little too hectic to think about living there year round.
I think I would probably do a year there, but I did the math and I was like $90 a night for a whole year. I don't know if Bangkok's pretty inexpensive. You could also
do that straight up without that deal probably.
That's what I was thinking. So I was like, but interesting nonetheless. All right, let's get to some questions. We got some people out there asking questions. So Greg asks question number 1, not you, Greg, a different Greg.
Not me. Okay.
Not you. Different Greg asks, how's your 10x grocery and gas spend on the platinum processing? What's your general strategy? Approximately what percentage of your spend is on gift cards? Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I haven't been tracking it precisely, so I don't know personally where I'm at with that. So far, I've mainly just been using it for real spend. So when pretty soon after I signed up, my wife and I went on a road trip. And so, of course, we used it for gas and we bought groceries during that trip. I didn't buy any gift cards during the trip. When I got back and there was Cyber Monday, a local grocery chain had a deal on gift cards that you buy online. So I took a chance that they're not going to be looking at that. And plus, I mean, it was less than $500 total spend. So I went in with that. It did code as 10x for that. So that's good, but I don't know. I'm not confident I'm on track to do, what was it? 2,000 a month that you have to do to max it out on average, something around there.
2,500-ish, I guess, right? About 2,500.
2,500. Yeah, I think I'm behind. What about you? Have you been?
I'm close to the 2,500 spend for the month in terms of percentage as to how much is gift cards. I don't know, to be honest with you. My wife went to the grocery store last and bought gift cards, so I'm not sure exactly how much she spent on the gift card end of it off the top of my head. I should know, but we had just been using it, like you said, on gas and on regular grocery, and then we also took a road trip and we rented a place for a month that's in a Kroger area. So we're now near a Kroger that has a fuel point promo going, 4x fuel points, and we got here with an empty tank of gas, so had to get some groceries anyway, and said, well, pick up a few gift cards while you're in there because you spend $250 on gift cards. We're going to get $1 a gallon off on the fill up. So that's going to save us a little bit. So, we bought a couple of few hundred there and, a little bit here, a little bit there, but I'm not going real hard on the gift cards. My angle here is that for the first 5,000 spend, I want it to be as legit as possible. A couple of gift cards. Okay. But for that 100K welcome bonus, I don't want there to be any doubt that I did that mostly on legit spend. So, and I found some.
And that's kind of like what I had planned to do. It's just I haven't actually done this yet. Was just with my regular grocery shopping, throw in like $200 worth of Amazon gift cards, or even gift cards to the grocery store if I know I'm going to be going back, to make it grow a little bit. The other strategy for maxing it out is to shop at Whole Foods and just buy the things you would buy anyway.
It's going to cost you 15 grand to do that in 6 months. So yeah, for sure. And I help myself a little bit in terms of getting myself a little closer to the spend because I recently bought a new phone and I put it on the platinum card specifically for the purchase protection, and that's good because I smash the phone right away. So yeah, I mean, I'm I got a rough streak going on here. It's not going well for me lately.
You're just intent on testing out all the purchase protections.
I'm here for you guys. I'm testing them out. So I'm still waiting for it to resolve. So as soon as I get a resolution on that, hopefully I'll be posting it. Hopefully any day now. I keep checking every day because I have to trade in a phone for it and blah, blah, blah. So
this is an interesting circumstance, right? Because The Platinum card gives you purchase protection, which protects it for 60 days or 90 days?
120 days.
120 days. Okay. And meanwhile, whatever card you're paying the bill with may or may not have been providing cell phone protection, which either one presumably would cover this incident.
Presumably. So here's the thing. So I did the purchase protection, and hopefully this is going to be something interesting to write about. I did the card, or I bought the phone on the Platinum card for the purchase protection, figuring that if it broke, then maybe I'd get out of it without a deductible if it broke during that first 120 days, because there's no deductible mentioned for purchase protection. Sense. So I think I'll save on that. And I also like the fact that since I still am paying the bill with the Inc. Business Preferred, even though I said I should switch that, I haven't switched it yet. So I got the cell phone insurance from that end. So this way I have two different banks. So if Amex tells me no on the purchase protection for whatever reason, then I can at least knock on Chase's door and say, hey, cell phone insurance. So that'll be like my backup plan. So one way or another, I should be covered, but I'm hoping to get all of it back.
You know what you should do if this works out is every 120 days, sell your cell phone and buy a new one to reactivate the 120 days.
You got to do the math on that. It might work out,
And you'll always have a newer model phone.
Latest phone. It's not a bad strategy, maybe. So
I guess you probably lose more in the sale.
Probably.
Maybe.
But so
depends what deal you went into to buy it new.
It sure does. Hopefully it'll end up being a good deal. We'll see. So Brent asks us question number 2. Brent says, where do you see the MS world heading now that Walmart money orders are tough to get? What do you think, Greg? What's going on? What's happening? Is it all over? Is it time to pack it in and give up on MS? What do you think?
Well, I think it's progressing the trend that had been going on for years now, which is it's becoming increasingly local. People are still having success at grocery stores and miscellaneous other stores. And people are rediscovering oldies but goodies like the Bluebird and Serve or what is it called? The Go Bank. Things like that. And then, some people are getting creative about different ways to bill pay and whatnot. And so it's just kind of spreading out. So it's no longer, it used to be for quite a while, right? It's been like, well, there's many ways to MS, but the main thing people do is buy the gift cards, go to Walmart, buy a money order with the gift card. And it was kind of easy to talk about from that point of view. Can't talk about it that way anymore.
No, yeah, that was the easy perspective for a long time. But the truth is, I stopped going to Walmart for money orders back when they started limiting it and asking for ID for more than 1,000 at a time. I was like, this is not. I knew people were going to get banned, even though they weren't going over the limits. Once they had to start giving their ID over 1,000, I knew it was going to be a matter of time before people got banned. And sure enough, some people got banned without hitting the 8,000 a day limit or whatever. And to me, it's not worth a special trip to Walmart for a single $1,000 money order. There's other places where you can get more typically. So Walmart dying was not something that I mourned particularly strongly. So now that said, it's not only Walmart. People have reported trouble at some other places too. But like Greg said, it's very local and regional, and it depends on where you're from and where you're going. So it's not done altogether. But obviously, things are going to keep changing. And so, I think that if you always focus on what used to work and what used to happen, you could sit here crying yourself to sleep every day over the fact that the Mint doesn't sell the dollar coins anymore, but it's not coming back. So look for something else, and you keep your eyes open, and there might be some other opportunities out there. So yeah, I would say just don't spend your time focusing on that, but rather looking for new avenues, because new avenues always pop up. There's one thing I've learned in this game, and so there's always something new that I had no idea existed. So keep looking.
Yep.
All right. Next question up. Grant says, hey, Greg and Nick, do you expect any other hotel loyalty program to slash elite status requirements for 2021? Do you think any of them could be more tempting than Hyatt Globalist? Of course, he's asking that because Hyatt has slashed the requirements in half, and we've talked a lot about that recently on the podcast. What do you think? Are other hotels going to follow suit? What about other loyalty programs in general, airlines, rental car companies, whatever it might be?
I love that Grant is asking us this because he almost certainly remembers when I don't remember how long ago it was, months ago, I think, when we asserted Hyatt's not going to drop their leak requirements. There's no way. They'll do promotions instead. Now, granted, we were talking about 2020.
We were
about 2020.
Yes. We were right. Sort of.
So
they definitely blindsided us on that.
Given our abysmal track record, Grant's asking us to guess what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, boy, I think Marriott is likely to do something similar to what they did this year with gifting elite credits. So rather than reducing the requirement, gifting more. Beyond that, it's really hard for me to say what the different programs will do. I mean, I think most of them that are going to want to do a lot of things to get people back, especially once, I think it's harder for the airlines. They really need to wait until travel is a more realistic thing to be doing. Some hotels have been able to get going even during the pandemic, but once that happens, I think you're going to see a race to bring back the elite flyers, the regular flyers, and so they'll do that in a bunch of different ways. And I think you'll see both, slashing requirements or, if I was running the program, it'd be more like when you fly, you'll get quadruple elite miles or whatever it is, because I want to encourage people to fly, not to, just get status for what they're doing anyway.
Right. So I'm going to take a similar but slightly different perspective on that and say that, I think that we feel I think Greg and I probably both feel somewhat optimistic about 2021 travel because of all the news lately on the vaccine and, the thought that hopefully that'll get distributed and things will, look up. On the flip side, you take a look at the news and the numbers each day, and it's not particularly encouraging, when you look at it from the perspective of the number of people,
right,
people dying every day. So I feel like 2021 likely is going to see very low demand again, similar to 2020 for quite a while. At the very least, there's going to be much lower demand for quite a bit longer than it might even feel like if you're on the optimistic side of things. So anyway, that said, I would say that I agree with Greg that if I ran the program, that's exactly what I would do. I'd offer double elite nights, triple elite nights, whatever, extra qualifying miles on flights, because I think that incentivizes people to spend money with you. However, Hyatt put the pressure on in terms of the hotel game to start, because by slashing the requirements, that's easier for consumers to understand and compare than Marriott giving them triple elite nights, for instance. It becomes very hard to compare. Is that better than, Hyatt's only charging or requiring half the number of nights? I think that's a much simpler concept for the average consumer. And so I think it's going to be hard for Marriott to compete for those consumers, or Hilton or whoever else, with a double or triple elite night thing. So while I think those promos probably are better financially for the hotels, I think there's at least a good chance that we're going to see others reduce elite requirements, specifically because it's hard to market it to their members as competitive with Hyatt.
So I don't disagree that we'll probably see others do it. I kind of doubt it has to do. The reasoning would be because it's simpler for customers to understand. I don't think my bet is that that frequent traveler understanding of the program is not a motivator for spending more with. Yeah. I think hearing you're going to get 4 times as many points or miles, that, especially people don't really understand what they're doing. That's more motivating. Like, I'm going to get a lot more without really understanding, like we do what it actually means for the bottom line. Oh. So yeah, I mean, if I was in the marketing area, I'd be more on personally along those lines. But yeah, as far as when travel resume, I mean, I think we already see the first half of 2022 is 2021 basically written off. And then how long will it take after that to get back anywhere near pre-COVID areas? It could be years, but I don't expect it to be quick. And so probably, I think even cutting requirements in half for 2021 is probably too little to do. And that's why Hyatt's great in that they have both the doubling in January and February and the cut in half. So that I think is a very reasonable
Yeah, I don't think
approach.
anybody's going to beat that approach. I think that's a
No.
true approach, and I feel like it was a little premature, kind of like you're suggesting there. And that was my first thought when you asked the question, was like, I would offer some additional incentive, like we're saying, double elite nights, quadruple points, whatever, to get people to book for the first half of the year, specifically because I have no idea what 2021 is going to look like yet. So I don't know. Is half the right number? Is a quarter the right number? Is a third? Is everything going to turn around? And only taking 25% off the requirements going to be enough to get people to come back in the door? So I feel like it's too early to make that decision, but I'm glad that Hyatt made it. Thanks, Hyatt.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work. So that's that. So, all right. Then that brings us next to Scott, I think. Scott asks, what is the most beautiful and inexpensive place you have ever visited?
So it's a combination of both beautiful and inexpensive.
Combination. Yeah, he's looking for beautiful
and
inexpensive.
Right. Well, that's not Necker Island.
No, so definitely
cross that off the list. Cross off Hawaii. That's definitely not inexpensive. So I
guess if you're using points, it kind of becomes inexpensive because you're not paying for it. I'm trying to buy you some time.
That's true of Necker as well.
Keep thinking. Yeah, you're right. It is. So I was
trying
to buy you some extra.
I haven't spent a lot of time in the places like Thailand or I don't know. There's a lot of places in Asia and in Eastern Europe that are very cheap and beautiful. I haven't spent a lot of time in those places, so maybe you have a better way of answering that than me. But when I think about the most beautiful places I've been, I tend to realize that they're very expensive. Like I think about Switzerland, and that's very expensive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been to some beautiful and inexpensive places, but picking one of them is really tough. And I feel like, so if we're going for beauty, like natural beauty, I think that probably the most diverse, beautiful, and cheap place I spent a lot of time was Ecuador. So I spent about 9 months in Ecuador back in 2008, 2009 or so. And that was pretty incredible because really in one day you could be in the rainforest and then go through the Andes Mountains and then be down at the ocean. And the contrast was pretty amazing. So you can see a lot of beautiful stuff. And I don't know, now it's been a decade, so I don't know what the prices are like now, but 10 years ago anyway, bus travel was about $1 an hour. So if you wanted to go somewhere 8 hours away, it was $8. Lunch was $1.50 for a plate of rice and vegetables and meat and a cup of juice and a bowl of soup. So, it was a very, very inexpensive place, and hostels were, $3 or $4 a night kind of a thing. So very, very inexpensive place and very beautiful. A lot of natural beauty going to the top of the mountains and stuff. So
that's a great answer. Great answer.
There you go. Do the best I can. So Ecuador it is. Then next up after that, question number 5 here. Let's see. Is it Mulyani asks, is it safe, COVID edition, to apply for a Chase personal or business credit card, given that I have 4 to 7 Chase credit cards already? The elf in the background has a ton of answers to this. Okay, so I
think that's for the previous question.
I see. Yes, for the question about the cheap places. Our elf in the background has a lot of answers for beautiful cheap places. She said, by the way, Montenegro, Vietnam, Slovenia. Oh, I agree. I loved Slovenia too, and it was quite inexpensive. She said it's like a discount Switzerland.
There you go.
It's pretty accurate. Yeah. Portugal also, I feel like, very inexpensive for Western Europe. But anyway, so what do you think? Is it safe to apply, considering the current environment in which we are? Is it safe to apply for a Chase personal or Chase business credit card if you already have 4 to 7 Chase?
I don't think the current situation nor the number of cards you have is particularly the thing I'd be worried about as to whether to apply for a Chase credit card. I would worry only if you regularly do things that, if you dig up my post on why does Chase shut down accounts, if you regularly do the types of things that I wrote about there, things like cycling your limit often. Honestly, I don't remember what else was on the list. But
stuff, cycling your credit limit. Those are 2 of the big ones.
Anyway, so if you do those things, then you want to avoid stuff like applying for new cards that causes Chase to get eyes on your account, realize that not only are you a bad risk potentially for a new card, but you might be bad risk for your existing cards and they might shut you down. But I wouldn't have any fear about signing up for Chase cards now otherwise.
No, yeah, me either. And I would say that, like Greg said, it doesn't really matter how many you have. They're going to reach a maximum exposure amount, the max amount of credit that they're willing to extend to you based on your profile and income and all the rest of that. And when they do reach that point, they'll initially deny your application, but then you call reconsideration and say, hey, can I shift a little credit limit around from this card to that card in order to get it open? And I've always had success with that with Chase over the phone, or even if you get approved with a limit that isn't usable enough, it doesn't meet your needs, you might just be able to shift limit from one of your other cards. So yeah, I don't think that there's a number of cards I would stop at. It's a matter of, like Greg said, the type of activity you're doing on the cards you have. If you're already way out of line with the activity that you're doing, then you may just want to lay low and relax.
Right. No, exactly. One thing about what you said about shifting the credit limits around, sometimes they'll do that unilaterally. Like one time my wife applied and she got a letter saying we moved, this much credit away from your, let's say, IHG card in order to prove this one. And a reader recently wrote about that happening to him as well. So it's kind of interesting that sometimes they'll do it themselves. Other times they'll wait for you to call and complain about the denial, and then they'll reverse it.
And keep in mind, you can only move business to business and personal to personal in terms of shifting around credit lines.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that while you need X amount of credit to open some cards, you don't necessarily need to keep the credit limit at that level. For instance, the Sapphire Reserve, I think, requires a $10,000 opening credit line. They won't approve it with less than that. But then after you have the card, you can drop the limit below that and shift some of that line to another card. So keep those types of things in mind. All right, next question up comes from Pennywise Traveler. Thanks for tagging us on Instagram a bunch, by the way. Appreciate having you here. Thank you.
We do appreciate that, definitely.
Yeah. So you asked the question, let's see, should I do the American Airlines Gold MasterCard status challenge for 2 flights or get a United credit card for $95? I have the Sapphire Reserve and I chose United for my Amex Platinum incidental fees. So got a CSR, got an Amex Platinum with United as the incidental fees. Should you do the American Airlines Gold challenge through MasterCard, which requires 2 paid flights, or get the United credit card for $95? Keeping in mind that American Airlines Gold benefits are more or less mimicking the benefits of having the credit card, right? You get free bags, basically.
Yeah. So I'm a little confused by it because it seems like 2
pretty different,
almost unrelated things. So it almost seems like, should I go for low-level American Airlines status or even lower-level United status by having a credit card? Is that roughly how you interpret the question?
Yeah, that's more or less how I see it.
So, I mean, I don't have a track record of being a fan of American Airlines. So if it was really between the two, my gut tells me, well, United, of course. That said, lately, American has been on a roll, on a very positive roll, very positive, customer-friendly, frequent flyer-friendly roll of doing things like, no change fees and things. So,
but do any of those things really apply to Gold members? I mean, what do you get with your AA Gold status? You get like a preferred seat at check-in, I guess, or maybe you get a preferred seat in advance and a main cabin extra at check-in, probably with Gold. I don't know off the top of my head, and free bags.
Right. I mean, when you ask it that way, if the question is it worth doing the Gold status challenge thing? The answer is probably not. Unless you're going to be flying American a lot and just want sort of a leg up on, on the future travel with them. And you can make an argument for getting the United card independent from that, getting it or not getting it. But if the question's more like, which airline should I sort of, bend my business towards? Normally my answer would be, a big part of the answer should be, well, who flies out of your home airport more? Because you're just going to find yourself on that airline more often, probably.
I think Pennywise Traveler is New York based, so probably pretty similar.
Okay, so it can do either, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, to be honest. So first things first, I don't think that that challenge is available anymore if you haven't already done it. So this is all kind of theoretical that we're talking about, unless it came back and I didn't know it. After it had gotten reported, I went to write about it, and it was already gone. And the word that I heard a couple of weeks ago was that they had pulled it, and if you already made your reservations through MasterCard, then they were going to honor it.
Why didn't you just say this in the beginning, Nick?
Well,
it saved a lot of hemming and hawing.
maybe she has the reservations already booked, and maybe she's wondering whether to keep them or not. So, and just theoretically, I guess I wondered what you would think is in terms of which was better. But I would say I don't think they should be mutually exclusive. If you've got two trips that you're actually going to take on American and you've got them booked through that, I mean, why not take them up on the gold status, right? The United credit card for $95, the United card is worth having long term, because you're going to have that card now, and then you can downgrade it to the no fee card and maintain your access to United expanded award availability forever and ever. And if you ever want free check bags again, you call Chase and you upgrade it back to the $95 card if it's going to save you money. So that's a card that you should get at some point, probably. Greg always has that in his list of the Chase cards that are worth getting.
Must have Chase cards. Yep.
Exactly. So I feel like I just wouldn't separate those things and say one or the other, unless it's a matter of, well, I don't really have the money for both the American Airlines flights and the credit card. But I think they waive the fee in the first year, don't they?
What if, okay, I totally agree with you in both those, but what if the question was really, who should, let American and United have similar flights out of my home airport or home region? Which one should I spend more of my time on? Which one should I actually fly?
I have a hard time, man. I see, I don't fly Delta, so I don't have a lot of love for most domestic airlines, and I fly Southwest most of the time domestically.
Yeah.
So I have flown United a lot more the last couple of years because of this whole Turkish thing and life miles and whatnot. I would pick United, yes, if I had to pick between the two, but they are more convenient for me, and that has to at least play in. Now, the other thing is you got the Amex Platinum incidental credit, and if you read the post the other day, United Travel Bank has been triggering that, and if you buy United Travel Bank credit by tomorrow, then you're going to get a bonus. So if you bought $250 worth of United Travel Bank credit, you get a $25 bonus, and up with $275, you'd get your $200 back from the Platinum incidental fees. So you're going to have some United money to play with for the next 5 years. So I would also think that United might be worth it, since you're going to have some United money to spend anyway if you've got them as your chosen airline. So I'd go United if I had to pick. I'd go United. Okay. All right. I think we got that one. So Yolanda asks next up, can you recommend any good Wyndham properties or resorts you've stayed at? You have any good Wyndham places in mind?
Yeah, there's a nice mansion in England that I stayed in, an 8-bedroom mansion that I stayed in for, what was it? 15,000 points a night.
A decent little place you stayed at. Yeah. Not a bad little Wyndham place.
That promo's not going on anymore. You can't do
Probably
that.
Never will again.
It's not really a Wyndham property, but I haven't stayed in any Wyndham properties in quite a while. I've heard great things about some Wyndham properties that are right on the water in Newport, Rhode Island. So if you're in the New England area, that's something to look into, especially for summer travel. How about you?
I don't think ever stayed at a Wyndham resort, at least not that I recall. Maybe back in my Priceline days before I found miles and points. It's possible I did, and I just don't remember now. But as far as Wyndham properties, the only other one, because I did the same deal that Greg did. I used most of my Wyndham points on that, 9-bedroom estate in the English countryside a couple of years ago when they ran that crazy promo. But I did stay a couple of years ago at the Wyndham Santa Monica, which is right across from the Santa Monica Pier. So if you want to go to the Santa Monica Pier and walk the boardwalk and all the rest of that, if you're going to Los Angeles, that's a really great location. And the property was decently nice. They upgraded me to a little junior suite. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not luxurious. It's about what you'd expect from a Wyndham, but the location is amazing. And so compared to the cash rates, it was a pretty good deal on points. So that was one that had come recommended. I think Jen from Deals We Like had written about it. And if you go there, don't pay the hotel price for parking. You can park just down the street at like the Santa Monica Civic Center or something for just a few bucks a night. So that's a much better deal for parking. Don't pay the $50 a night or whatever they want for valet at the Wyndham. But so that's the only other one that comes to my mind in terms of the ones I've stayed at. So sorry, Yolanda, that I don't have more for you, but that's what I got. Let's see. Next up, Michael asks, any data points on the safety of using the Amex Amazon 8X bonus to purchase Amazon e-gift cards? Is that a safe use of that bonus, Greg? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've gotten that question a few times from readers. And, the answer is I don't have any negative data points. Like I don't have any data points showing that anyone's gotten in trouble by doing it. But I also don't expect to, because I think it's very unlikely that anyone's going to get in trouble doing it. It's capped at
$375 in spend, if I remember.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, you go in and spend that, they're not going to care. That's my belief. And, if you have it on a couple cards because you have player 1 and 2, each has it on their cards, do it on both. I'm not worried about it at all.
Zero worry here either. I mean, it's certainly possible that you can get clawed back. I'm not going to do it that way only because I easily spend $375 a month at Amazon just on stuff that we need. Generally that tends to be where we get most stuff that we need for daily stuff. So I won't have any issue using it for actual merchandise, but I wouldn't be the slightest worried about that. I think people get a little overly concerned about what Amex is going to claw back. Amex has tended to claw back big bonuses when people go hard. And somewhat on that Hilton card offer over the summer, the extra grocery bonus, some people didn't go real hard and still got clawed back. But like, if you're talking less than $500 or $500 or so, I just don't think it's enough to draw any attention. That's very, very low volume in terms of the
Agree.
Of stuff. So,
yeah.
So no biggie there. All right. Next up, George asks us, does it ever make sense to purchase Southwest points with the companion pass? So does it make sense? Because you get double value, right, Greg? So does it make sense to buy the points?
Usually no, because your cash is also worth double when you have the companion pass. I think it becomes a valid question when when there's a sale on Southwest points to where they're, let's say 1.5 cents or less each, then the advantage of booking even your companion ticket purchases with points is that they're more fully refundable than a cash ticket is. And so I would do it. I think in that, like if I needed more points, if it was similarly priced to buy points and book it, or just book it with cash, I would buy the points and book it. But that's the only scenario I can think of where I would do that.
Yeah, they'd have to be 1.5 cents each or less. That's like the beginning. Otherwise, just a non-starter wouldn't pay any more than 1.50 each, because you're, like Greg said, your 1.50 is also worth double. So you're not getting more value out of the points than you are out of your own cash. And then, like Greg said, if I wasn't flush with Southwest points, I got a lot of Southwest points. If I didn't have a lot of Southwest points, maybe I would consider it, specifically because, like you said, the problem when you book with cash is that if you cancel it, then you get a credit that's tied to the passenger's name, and it's only valid for a year, blah, blah, blah. So there is a little bit more value to booking with points, because the points just immediately go back in your account. And I guess Southwest points don't ever expire anymore, right? So you're going to have those points forever. Right. So you could use them this year, next year, 8 years from now, whereas the cash credit is going to be much more restrictive. So yeah, if they're 1.5 cents or less and I don't already have a pile of Southwest points, then I guess I would consider it. On the flip side, if you're any kind of a manufactured spender, you can probably generate Southwest points a lot cheaper than 1.5 cents each. So I hesitate. I say that maybe it's an okay idea, but I wouldn't actually buy them for 1.5 cents, because I can generate them cheaper than that.
Right. So, I mean, yeah. It depends whether it adds in other factors. You have the Southwest cards, you have Ultimate Rewards points that can transfer.
Exactly. I mean, because Staples has a fee-free Visa gift card deal this week, and Office Max, I think anyway, Office Max got the 15 off at 300, and 5X. You can generate points that transfer to Southwest for a lot less than 1.5 cents each. So.
Sure, right. It's funny, this topic, like years ago, I was on vacation and wanted to publish a little post that I thought was dead obvious and just I thought it just needed to be said. And so I didn't want like much conversation on that post because I was on vacation. I didn't want to have to answer comments. And so I posted, a title, something like, companion pass doesn't make your points worth more. Right. And oh my God, has to be the most controversial post I've ever read. Like, so many people did not understand it. And then half the people were explaining why the way I wrote it wasn't the best wording. Here's better wording to explain. Like they agreed with me, half the people, but they didn't think I wrote it the right way. And so they put in their way, which no one understood their way either.
Right. In fairness, it is kind of a tough concept to wrap your mind around, the fact that the points aren't worth any more when you have the companion pass, because it feels like they are, right? I mean, you get 2 tickets for the price of 1. It feels, but remember, you got to remember, you get those 2 tickets with the cash also. And that's right. That's the point that Greg made in that post, which even I remember when you posted that, because I remember reading it. And at the time I was still, learning this game. And I remember being a little like, wait a second. Yeah, he's right, isn't he? So yeah,
that one backfired on me. It might be time to dig that one out and republish it.
It could be right when you're about to go on vacation again. So Thomas asks, next up, do you need a co-branded credit card? Do you need an American Airlines co-branded credit card in order to redeem Aadvantage miles?
No, you don't. Aadvantage program is completely separate from the credit card. Credit card is just one of many ways to earn American Airlines miles. And in fact, a similar question we get all the time is, what happens to your miles if you cancel your AA credit card? Your miles are fine. You don't lose them when you cancel your card. That's true of all airline and hotel cards, that the points and miles are with the travel program, not with the bank who runs the credit card. So once your miles appear on your American Airlines statement, the credit card has nothing to do with it anymore.
Right. Yep. So not going to help you. The only thing that the credit card will help you with American Airlines is it will help you get access to those reduced mileage awards, which each month or so they come out with new destinations on the reduced mileage award chart. So if you just Google American Airlines reduced mileage award, there are specific destinations that cost fewer points. And it rotates, it changes all the time in terms of which destinations are on the list. And actually, I say destinations, but any of the airports on there, you can be flying to or from that airport and get the reduced rate. So you need a credit card in order to get those. And if you don't know what I'm talking about already, then you haven't booked it before, because you got to call and book these separately and blah, blah, blah. So that's the only thing that you would need the credit card for. But in terms of actually just redeeming your American Airlines miles, like Greg said, credit card's got nothing to do with it. Once you earn the miles, credit card's just a separate thing.
I've forgotten all about those reduced mileage awards, and now with American making such a big deal of their web special awards, I'm wondering like those. So those reduced mileage awards were based on the award chart, and the web special awards go off the award chart. Are separate from the award chart. And I wonder if they're still cheaper. Like, so
can you still get 5,000 miles off of a
or whatever? What I'm saying is like maybe the web special awards are just as cheap as the regular awards with the reduced mileage award thing applied.
They might be. And the advantage, until 10 minutes ago, or not 10 minutes, like a few weeks ago, would have been that those reduced mileage awards maintain the same kind of flexibility as a full award, whereas the web specials, were not changeable, cancelable, et cetera, et cetera. So, but now that American's gotten rid of those changing cancellation fees for the most part, it's probably a wash. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's a funny thing about the web special awards. They're still not changeable, but they're cancelable and you get all your miles and fees back. so you could change them obviously by just canceling and then booking a new one. So it's kind of, I don't know, I find it kind of funny that they kept that non-changeable aspect to it. Like, how does that help anyone?
Right. Life Miles used to do that with awards. It was like ridiculously expensive to change, but it was really cheap to cancel. And now that's kind of changed a little bit, but yeah.
So speaking of Life Miles, a flight I had to cancel back in end of May.
Mm-hmm.
It was for flying either end of May or early June. I just finally got the fees back for it.
Wow. But you did get them back
a week or two ago. Yeah.
So you only had to give them like a 6-month loan then.
Right.
Not a bad deal. 6 months interest free.
Hey, I had kind of written it off. I was like, I'm not going to hunt down this little bit. Anyway.
Maybe that's part of the strategy. They hold on to your money long enough that you feel like you won when you finally get it back. You know,
right.
About the fact that you didn't get the interest.
It does feel like free money.
right. Whoa. Yeah, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that they did give your money back, though, because the Life Miles had a bad rap for customer service for a long time, and I feel like I've heard a few success stories of people being able to cancel things and get money back eventually. I mean, don't get me wrong, take a long time, but I mean, that's better than some airlines have been. So
right.
Credit where credit is due.
Yeah. On the other hand, like American Airlines made it much easier to cancel and get your money back and everything during the pandemic. Than Life Miles did, for sure.
There you go. Greg just gave a little something to American Airlines there. You're not going to hear their praises
I meant American based, U.S. based.
Oh, U.S. based airlines. Okay, yes.
I was sort of putting an umbrella around.
I see.
Delta United and American.
They won't appreciate that. All right. So Joseph asks us the next question. He says, how are you guys planning to qualify for Hyatt Globalist in 2021? How are you going to qualify, Greg?
So personally, I qualified this year. So in 2021, I still have the status. So I have all year to requalify before, so that I won't lose it in 2022. And, I have some, I'm going to do some stays during the January to February time period. I have the credit card, and with the 30 nights, honestly, I think it's very unlikely I'm going to have to do anything, change my behavior in any way to qualify, because it only requires 30 nights next year. And I think I'm going to have enough suite upgrades rolling over that I'm not going to worry about the milestone rewards either. So. I'll probably just get to 30 nights naturally and
be happy with that.
And I'll be happy with that. Yeah. How about you?
I mean, the 30-night mattress run. We talked about this on the recent podcast, and so the nights are going to post in 2021, and so I'll get my 60 nights early on in 2021. And so that'll qualify me for status for all of 2022 and into the beginning of 2023. So, you got to remember that those of us doing that 30-night mattress run, at this juncture now, checking out in January kind of a thing, are going to pick up all those nights in 2021. So even though, maybe some folks are staying at a Hyatt hotel right now, those nights, if they're checking out in January, are all posting next year. So that's a pretty great deal. Now, if your question was meant to be more so, how am I going to requalify? When it comes to 2022, if I want status in 2023, I'll have to requalify. And the answer there is I'm just not going to. Unless they really reduce elite requirements again that year, and in which case that would mean that things are pretty bad still. I just don't see myself hitting 60 nights. So that's why I'm going to enjoy the globalist status while I can. Now, speaking of this globalist status thing, Jerry asks us, does that Hyatt double elite night credit promo beginning in December count toward the requirements for globalist in 2021? So that's kind of what I was just talking about. But maybe you can explain it more clearly.
Yeah. So if you check out in January, even if your stay starts in December, then all the elite nights from your stay will credit to 2021, which is what you want. If you check out in December, though, then the double elite nights, the way it works is you'll get the regular number of elite nights in 2020, and that'll be matched in 2021. So you'll still get a leg up on 2021, but you can't really think of it as doubling. So like a 5-night stay where you check out in December is going to give you 5 nights in 2021 towards elite status. It won't give you 10 nights. However, if you had checked out a 5-night stay January 1st, then you have 10 elite nights for 2021.
Right. So the key point here is that it matters when you check out. it's not, you don't get credit for the nights based on what year the nights happen in, but on the
Right.
year in which you check out of the hotel. So if you check out of
Right.
the hotel in 2020, you're getting that number of nights this year, and then that number of nights again next year. If you check out in 2021, you're getting the total stay 2 times in 2021. You're getting the total stay once, and then the total stay the second time. So yeah, the doubling thing counts towards the 2021 requirements. If you check out in January, you can check in December. You can be checked in already right now. As long as you're checking out in January, you're going to get the whole thing, the whole enchilada in 2021.
Right. Okay. Incidentally, Marriott does not work that way, or at least when I last had a stay that crossed December 31st, they credited the nights that were in December to the previous year, and I think my one night in January to the new year. So it's interesting that different programs do that differently.
Funny you mentioned that, because I think I think it might have been December 31st that I did my last night for the platinum star, excuse me, for what's the titanium status that we have, 75th night, I think was New Year's Eve for me, maybe last year. So so I think I did the same sort of a thing, and I didn't even think about the fact that it checked out in 2021.
Right.
I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Just knew I needed that other night. So there you go.
You're cutting that one close.
Yeah, I was. It was right up at the end of the year there. All right. So Levi then asks us, can you talk to a multi-night mattress run where you check in person, but don't plan on staying due to the environment, strategies, best practices, thinking for the Hyatt promos? So we talked about this quite a bit. What's the strategy, Greg?
The strategy is always talk to the hotel manager and let them know exactly what you're doing and why. And, if you don't talk to them about it, then there's always a chance that they'll somehow figure out that you're not there and they'll check you out early. Then you won't get elite nights for all those extra nights. So talk to them. You might even be lucky enough to, if you don't want to go there at all, the manager might say, well, you can check in remotely, and they'll provide you a way of doing that. And so I don't see any scenario where it makes sense to go check in and leave without first beforehand talking to the manager.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely. So that best practice, talk to the manager and, talk to them ahead of time, tell them what you're doing. Don't wait until the day of check-in, call them ahead of time and say, this is what I'm trying to do. And this is what I want. And if they aren't receptive to that, find a different place. It's not worth chancing that maybe you get checked out early, or that if they take the perspective that they don't like that when you talk to them in advance, chances are good you're going to get checked out early if you're not there, because clearly they're following things, to the letter of the law, so to speak. So yeah, it would definitely worth talking to them in advance, and also might be worth negotiating the price, asking, what can you do? Because if they don't have to clean that room every day and don't really have to have you there, they might be willing to cut you a better deal. So it's certainly worth calling and talking to somebody. Hotels are hurting. And so obviously a lot of places are looking for the business. So
yeah, if I was a hotel manager, I'd make you a great deal.
Right.
You don't have to do anything. We don't have to worry about you spreading COVID because you're not coming. We don't
have to worry about you leaving a bad review because you saw a fly on the buffet or whatever. You're probably going to leave a good review, in fact. I mean, that's kind of an ideal customer, isn't it? I mean, not to say that there aren't some managers who are going to tell you no, pound sand, but
there's going to be some that the main reason they would tell you to pound sand is because they don't understand it and they think you're scamming, in some way. And so they're just going to be sort of afraid of what you're doing. But if you find one that is open-minded enough, it shouldn't be a problem.
There you go. All right. Isaac asks us, wanting to do a Disney World trip in November, December 2021 and to stay at the Dolphin or Swan Marriott properties, is it worth it to get the Bonvoy Business credit card specifically for the Platinum Elite status? He has gold status now.
I mean, I think that's a decent, it's a decent deal anyway to get that card. And so having Platinum status for that stay would be nice icing on the cake. You'll get free breakfast for 2. Some hotels will extend it beyond 2 people, but you'll at least get it for 2. And then probably, assuming the rest of the people are kids, probably pay a kid's rate for breakfast for everyone else. So I would do it.
There you go. That's as good an answer as I'm going to have for you. I only briefly looked into the Dolphin and Swan. They cost a lot of points now. I don't know if you're paying cash or you're using intending to use the points, because I think they often aren't a particularly good deal on points. So if that's your aim, that you want the card so that you can get the welcome bonus to pay for it on the point, then I might just take a look at cash rates anyway and see whether or not using the points is a good deal. But having the platinum status, if it does indeed get you the free breakfast, which I couldn't remember that off the top of my head with those properties, whether or not it does get you that. But if it does, then
I guess it's possible that I'm not sure which particular brand those are under.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But
so
I'm 78% sure that free breakfast is
included for elite members. I would definitely double check on that.
Yeah, worth double checking.
Because not all places do it. And the other thing to keep in mind, this happened to me in Orlando at a different resort where, remember, the whole Marriott breakfast thing is super complicated. That's why we have a resource page. It's like, what Marriott Elite benefits apply, which Marriott Elite benefits apply. You got to go to that page and type in the information about where you're staying and sort through all this sortable charts. It's right. Confusing, right? And so I checked into a resort in Orlando last year just for a night, and they asked me at check-in, so would you like the points for your welcome amenity? Something they framed it something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Because a lot of places you have a choice between like a bottle of water or some points. And I just assumed that I was getting breakfast for free, right? I mean,
right.
Just of course I've got titanium status or whatever. Come on, yeah, of course I'm going to get a platinum, whatever it was. That wasn't the case. It was one of those places where I had to choose between taking like 500 points or breakfast in the restaurant, which of course breakfast at a resort in Orlando was like, I don't know, $25 a piece or something for breakfast. So of course I wanted that instead of the point. How are you going to ask me? So you want the points instead of saying, so you want the breakfast, or would you like the points or the breakfast? I mean,
yeah.
So anyway.
So I can't remember off the top of my head, or even off the top of my, way off my head, which brands just outright give you free breakfast versus make it a welcome choice. It seems to me most of my Marriott stays, it's been a choice. It's usually a check-in and ask which do you want. Yes, sometimes they'll say, do you want the points? And I'm usually like, well, what are the other options? And that's when they're like, well, free breakfast for two worth $100 a day.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'll take that over the 500 or 1,000 points.
Right. That kind of thing happened to me at the St. Regis Bora Bora last year, where they were like, well, for your welcome money, would you like the points? Or you can get these coffee mugs or breakfast for two each day. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the breakfast for two each day, kind of like, just like the way I just said it. And the person was like, yeah, most people make that choice. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. At like $100 a day. Exactly.
Right.
So anyway.
Think of all the points you didn't get, because if
right.
you had charged breakfast to the room, you would have earned your points on your stay and your platinum bonus and all that stuff.
And I used discounted Marriott gift cards to pay, so I could have saved money there. Yeah. No, make sure you know whether or not that's an included
don't listen to me about that.
The Dolphin and the Swan. Okay. So Bruce next up asks, my Hyatt card member year renews on January 20th. Did I understand from your recent post that I could earn a category 1 to 4 certificate with $15,000 spend before January 20th and then another before December 31st?
Yes. So if you're able to spend $15,000 between January 1st and the 19th, then you'll earn a category 1 certificate. This is assuming you're a World of Hyatt card holder, not a Hyatt Visa card holder. As long as it's the newer World of
the new one, what we're talking about here.
As long as you have that new one that says has that little ugly square logo on it, World of Hyatt logo on it. Then yeah, if you can spend that much money that quickly, you'll get $15,000, you get a free category 1 through 4 certificate. And then if you spend another $15,000 January 20th on, you'll get another one. You could spend up to the end of the year. And then in future years, it'll all be calendar year based. So we won't have to try to remember our card anniversary anymore, which is good news after next year. One thing to point out, so that $15,000 spend is also going to get you 6 elite nights. Those elite nights do not double. It's only the bonus journeys promo only doubles actual nights in hotels, not nights earned through other means like credit card spend.
There you go. So there you have it. That's the answer. And finally, one more question, I think, from Jonathan. Jonathan asks, I received a mailer for an Amex high yield savings account, 0.6% APY. Do you think doing this would help to circumvent the Amex pop-up when applying for cards?
It's a good question. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
No idea here either, but I don't think that I would go with 0.6% APY for that reason. I don't know. It's like you could probably be doing better. Not much. Don't get me wrong. In the savings account, not if you want to have it in a savings account, maybe you won't be doing a heck of a lot better. But there are other high yield options. Go to Dr. Credit and look at their high yield options, and there's just so many options that are better than that.
Right. Although I guess SoFi has plummeted down to like
it has,
way less than that. I think, yeah,
it has,
which is sad because they started out pretty good at like 1.85. I think it was. Yeah.
Interest rates are very low across the board, so 0.6% isn't as bad as it.
No,
it sounds perhaps.
It's better than most. It's just
right.
Yeah, there are ways to do better. Sure.
Yeah. So, will it help though? No idea. If you do it and it helps, let us know.
Yeah, actually,
if you do that and that's the only thing you do, right, you have to make this a controlled experiment. Don't start spending on all your other Amex cards too, because anecdotally, spending on your other Amex cards will oftentimes help that pop-up go away, which is probably what I would do over opening a savings account with Amex. But if you want to test this out and find out what happens, don't spend on your other Amex cards. Toss your money in that account and see what happens.
Yeah. And try it like with different amount. Try, like $1,000 deposited, try 100,000, try $1 million, try 100 million.
That way we get a full range of things.
Right. We need to know what dollar amount, helps you through that pop-up. So let us know.
All right. I think that brings us to the end for this week. So thank you guys all very much for being out there with us. Always enjoyable. It's fun. It's been a little bit since we last did one of these, hasn't it? I mean,
I guess did we skip one?
I think we skipped one.
Yeah, maybe we skipped
vacation or something. Yeah. So
it's always fun.
It's good to be back.
Yes, it is. All right. Hey, great hanging out with everybody for an hour. See you next time.